Meet the boy who became a superhero.
Whoa, the ring turned you into She's-Out.
Dressed as a girl. I'm a dude.
Ready to kick some She's-Out?
Yeah, I can fly. She's-Out, a new hub series.
Kids Cable Channel hopes She's-Out has magic touch on ratings. Well, yeah, just go with the trends, right? That's what they're pushing on traditional Americans and stuff. So, yeah, just go with the trends. Go with what makes most money, you know, what's fashionable. So, owned by Discovery and Hasbro, the hub has struggled to find viewers. It aims to lift ratings with superhero cartoon She's-Out. So, in She's-Out, a 12-year-old boy named Guy uses a magic ring to transform himself into a legendary crime fighter. When evil lurks, Guy says, "You go, girl," and becomes She's-Out. So, Chief Executive said, when I first heard about the show, my reaction was, "Are you out of your minds?" Then I looked at it and I thought, this is just funny. So, to me, I think it's dangerous, but hey. London mayor in hot water over suggesting women go to university to find husbands. So, the mayor of London has been accused of casual sexism after joking that an increase in the number of women attending university in Malaysia was down to the desire to find a husband. So I guess it was supposed to induce laughter, but this one individual, Sophia Ferber, reporter, says, "I don't think the Malaysians thought it was as funny as Boris did." Church of England restarts process to ordain women bishops. The Church of England voted Monday to restart the process that would lead to ordaining women bishops after traditionalists blocked the idea last year, plunging the church into turmoil. Said it's going to take a little while. We're going to have to keep working on it. It says there's been such a shift in the mood over the last 6 months that they remain very optimistic. Social justice, apart from evangelization, drives youth away from Christianity, says a new study. It says when a Christian apologetics ministry asked college atheists nationwide why they had abandoned religion, it was startled by the responses. It says most of our participants had not chosen their worldview from ideologically neutral positions at all, but in reaction to Christianity, not Islam, not Buddhism, but Christianity. So, it says atheists revealed that while so many of them grow up attending church, where they heard plenty of messages encouraging social justice, community involvement, and being good, they seldom saw the relationship between that message, Jesus Christ, and the Bible. The connection between Jesus and a person's life was not clear, said one atheist named Stephanie. It says this is an incisive critique. Stephanie seems to have intuitively understood that the church does not exist simply to address social ills, but to proclaim the teachings of its founder, Jesus Christ, and the relevance to the world. Since Stephanie did not see that connection, she saw little incentive to stay. It says many atheists also revealed that they had once attended church with hope of having a light shed on life's big questions, only to find services that were largely shallow, harmless, and ultimately irrelevant. It says the ages 14 to 17 were decisive years for those who embraced unbelief. Young atheists said the internet factored heavily into their abandonment of the faith, mentioning videos that they had watched on YouTube or website forums that they had visited. Lastly, it says here that the study left a lasting impression on his ministry. These students were above all else idealists who longed for authenticity, and having failed to find it in their churches, they settled for a non-belief that, while less grand in its promises, felt more genuine and attainable. And lastly, I'll finish up with this. Christians are supposed to fight, too, the notion of spiritual warfare, the true meaning of jihad, a war against sin rather than flesh and blood. It says this is central to Christianity and we've lost it, and therefore opposite forces are entering the vacuum. Southern Baptist official says evangelicals are a minority and seem freakish to society. Southern Baptist Ethics Religious Liberty Commission President, Mr. Moore, on Monday said that evangelicals needed to realize that they were the minority and may seem freakish to the rest of the country. So he also elaborated on his assertion that the role of a mother and a father made marriage inappropriate for same-sex couples, saying, "I don't think the issue is whether or not an individual person or couple can be good parents." He insisted the question is whether or not a child needs a mother and a father, and whether a mother and father brings something distinctive to the task of parenting. And we have new atheism has changed the face of America. This is Mr. Daniel Dennett. So it's a movement known as New Atheism. It has changed the political landscape of the United States. So it goes on, it says, the intrusion of religion into political sphere in the United States helped launch new atheism, he said. He says it was important to turn the tide, and I think we've done that. I'm really very proud to say that new atheism has changed the face of America as far as expression of religious belief or disbelief. The numbers are growing, and it says, what we gave them was permission to declare their lack of interest in religion, which is something that people were afraid to do before we wrote our books. Abortion activists caught on camera possessed by a spooky Hail Satan chant at Texas state capitol. You may have heard that Texas is seeking to outlaw late-term abortions. It says the kind of abortions that kill a nearly full-grown baby who has eyes, ears, hands, and a beating heart and can experience pain. It says the idea that such preborn human beings cannot be murdered at will infuriates pro-choice abortion activists, and the true inspiration for their desire to kill babies has finally emerged. It says here a truly bizarre, almost creepy video has just surfaced revealing pro-abortion activists chanting Hail Satan in unison at the Texas state capitol building. It says, as you can hear for yourself in the video below, people in the background begin chanting Hail Satan during the speech of a woman who opposes late-term abortions. It appears at 5:12 in the video and continues for many seconds. The woman giving the speech is saying, we have doctors down in Houston who are butchering women, butchering children, and the pro-abortion people raise their voices singing and chanting Hail Satan over again. Later, pro-life advocates sang Amazing Grace, completing the contrast between the abortion foes and the abortion advocates. We have post-birth abortions. Kill your baby up to age 3. This is what's coming. Has already been revealed. Abortion activists want babies to be aborted even after they are born. The practice, and published in the Journal of Medical Ethics, a scientific paper actually argues for the killing of the babies as follows, saying they want to emphasize that the moral status of the individual killed is comparable with that of the fetus rather than that of the child. Therefore, we claim that killing a newborn could be ethically permissible in all circumstances where abortion would be. Also adding, newborns do not have the same moral status as actual persons, and the fact that both are potential persons is morally irrelevant. Major papers reject pro-life ad, an image of baby too controversial. This child has no voice, which is why it depends on yours. So it says speak up. And it says here, National Pro-Life Organization is outraged after 3 major American newspapers rejected a pro-life ad as too controversial. The Chicago Tribune, USA Today, and LA Times refused to run the ad created by Heroic Media. It features a 20 to 24-week-old baby with the quote, no, I just read it, so. They say it seems as though it is okay to talk about the issue in general, but when you actually put a face to the discussion, then it becomes controversial. We have Christians defeat graphic Planned Parenthood condom ad campaign in Estonia. So we just covered, last Friday about the children, the students that were 11, 12-year-olds. They basically fainted while they're doing this color fill-in-the-blank or coloring of male and female genitalia for sex education. A small Christian group has stopped a national ad campaign to promote condoms and promiscuous sex in Estonia, funded by part by International Planned Parenthood Federation, the European Union. This is the same crap that they pushed in Canada on their website, and they had to pull it after people were outraged because they didn't really even know about it. Billboards and bus stop ads carried slogans like, your penis is a little tilted and slanted, and let's do it differently, I'm on top. The ads were supposed to run until July 21st, but were removed on June 16th. The public was invited to visit the campaign website that offered tips on how to entice strangers into your bed and how to download a flirting application for their phones. It included practical advice like keep a condom with you just in case, and don't keep it in a very narrow pocket or purse where the quality of rubber may deteriorate. The campaign was launched after Estonian newspapers reported in 2011 that 80% of Estonian women do not carry condoms with them at all times. Female inmates sterilized in California prisons without approval. It says doctors under contract with the California Department of Corrections sterilized nearly 150 female inmates from 2006 to 2010 without required state approvals. The Center for Investigative Reporting has found 148 women received tubal ligations in violation of prison rules. It says here that the state paid doctors $147,000 to perform the procedure. Former Valley State Prison inmate who worked in the prison's infirmary during 2007, she'd often overheard medical staff asking inmates who had served multiple prison terms to agree to be sterilized. I was like, oh my God, that's not right. The 28-year-old said, do they think they're animals and that they don't want them to breed anymore? So they're basically defending their actions for whatever it's worth, since everybody was operating on the fact that this was perfectly reasonable thing to do, to save money and welfare benefits. So, but it is kind of through coercion that you can't have a baby and stuff like that. I mean, they promote promiscuity, but they don't want overpopulation of more people. So then they encourage, quote, safe sex. Safe sex is unsafe sex is possibly having a child, right? And the system isn't really made to be able to have more than a couple kids. And so you'll have a lot of, I hate to say it, mostly white middle class women, girls that are, they're careerists, right? They're closet feminists, they want to wear the pants and all that. So they go do that, but they also want to put off marriage and also want to put off childbearing and stuff, and then eventually they can't even have kids when it comes to it, so then they have to rely on stuff like this, simplified IVF, in vitro fertilization. So eventually they'll have to go to the doctors, the experts, the same ones pushing all the contraceptives, to be able to have a child. Basically, you have, I've talked about this before, in the black community and the Hispanic community, they're not very pro-contraceptive use. They're more traditional, so that's why they tend to not have that or forego that, and then they'll have more children, thus they'll be on welfare. So abortions and sterilizations isn't the way to solve the problem. The way to solve the problem is by making it so that people can have children if they want to, and not use the economy against them. So we got this in vitro fertilization, okay? We just had in the UK where they were talking about how they're going to have, 3 people involved in these in vitro fertilization techniques now. Simplified IVF procedure could cost just $256. So a simplified lab can slash the cost of in vitro fertilization treatment to around €200, offering hope to millions of infertile couples in the developing world. Ooh, the developed world. In the developing world, huh? I love when they use that word because, like I said before, the developed world is a completely engineered society, engineered synthetic culture. That's what we have in the U.S. and the UK and that. Places like, certain places in South America would be considered non-developed, or India and stuff. They also, coincidentally, don't like to use contraceptives and stuff. Scientists use gene sequencing to select a healthy baby boy. So scientists said Monday that they have used a new generation of gene sequencing techniques to select a viable embryo for in vitro fertilization that yield a healthy baby boy. Says the IVF process in a laboratory is a hit-and-miss affair, with only 30% of fertilized embryos resulting in pregnancy. The reason for the high failure rate is unclear, because it's unnatural. They don't care. It says here, but genetic defects are the prime suspects. The reason? Genetic defects. You got bad genes. So, will it cost $256? Current methods of detecting embryonic gene deficiencies add over £2,000, $3,000 to single IVF treatment. So who's this going to be for? Initially, those well-to-do middle-class women. The new method should allow the cost to be reduced by several £100s. Now, we'll see, right? Youngest recipient of bioengineered organ dies, so she had a windpipe implanted in April. Said her esophagus was also involved in that surgery. She had a second operation last month when it didn't heal correctly. Says here that complications from the operation ultimately killed her. Now, comments like this just make me really sick to my stomach, but whatever. Even our failures offer a lesson. One day a child will live because of the efforts of the scientists. We'll get there, right? This progress, we'll get there. Like he has some fucking involvement in the process. The irony too is people like this, I'm not gonna say that he is or she is or it is, whatever it wants to call itself, but they probably will say too that there's too many people on the earth, so they're willing to go against the natural order of things and whatever the natural plan is, to make this person that should have died alive, and then they'll turn around and they'll complain about overpopulation, and you'll see like, well, isn't that kind of a conflicting philosophy because you're against overpopulation? And they'll probably just stare at you, and not give you an answer. Well, blah 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 blah, because they're not really meant to think independently for themselves. Japan withdraws support for HPV vaccines due to infertility side effects. So good for Japan. Reporting long-term pain and numbness to infertility and paralysis. Pandemic as HIV rates already sky high are continuing to climb among gay men. HIV vaccine infects 41 volunteers in a trial. They're canceled now. FDA approves a new big pharma pill solution for prescription drug addiction. So a pill for a pill addiction. Thank you.